Hey guys, it's your boy Pros here again with another video. In this video, we're gonna talk about a lot of basics that a lot of people don't really know. I was thinking, I'm over here just going in, attacking, but I know a lot of people don't really understand the concept of the game. So we're gonna play around with the stats. That's why I'm here with the queen, and we're gonna see how each stat actually makes a difference, and we can try to figure out what do you want to do when you play the game. Because a lot of people, they're always like, oh, I don't know what to do, I don't know what weapons I need to get, what armor, etc., etc. So let's get started on this. So one thing that you might have noticed, I have the bull gold armor. What this armor does is heavy. It has a lot of defense, so it negates a lot of the attack. But the main reason I always use this armor is because of poise. So if you see, I don't know if you guys can see it, but if you look at it all on the status, all the way to the right, the poise is going to be 100. So that's really, really good. That means that when I get hit with an attack, I can resist. That's what poise does. So you need to reach a threshold in the game so that the poise actually helps you fighting. So let's say you're fighting someone, you're like, oh yeah man, let's go, bam bam bam. Somebody hits you with a sword, you won't flinch, meaning your attack will continue and you're gonna hit them, and then you have the upper hand because you can continue hitting, and you might stagger the other person if they have less poise than you, which is really good in PvP. The one reason I have this armor, like I told you, is because my physical versus strike, slash, and pierce is really high. Every strike is different. So when you look at your weapon, my bad, it tells you what it is. It's standard pierce, slash, pierce, and then there's blunt weapons, slash, etc. You get the idea. So basically, this armor that I have on gives me a lot of defense. It doesn't mitigate a lot, but the thing is, I have a lot of life, as you can see up there. With that defense, it means that I will have a lot of life. When somebody hits me, they're not gonna do that much damage, and I won't die as easy. But now we're gonna go into the builds, how people decide what to do and what they pick and all that. So basically, my way of doing it is, if you look at my stats, so I focused on, if I do explanation, on endurance. I've got 74. Endurance gives you how much armor you can actually put on. It gives you stamina, so it's really good for attacking, for people that use great shield. But the thing is, a lot of people don't have into consideration, you don't need to be a tank. You don't need to have heavy armor to play the game, to fight good. This is my playstyle, because when I'm fighting, what I like to do, especially, enjoy people hitting me, and because I use colossal weapons, giant weapons, I do more damage than what I receive. So it's my way of fighting. But there's many ways of fighting. So if we actually go to the Queenie here, and whatever, go to Rebirth. So we're gonna notice, we're gonna focus on the red part. So basically all my stats are all reset. So let's start with bigger. How much bigger do you actually want? Well, if you get bigger all the way to 99, which is the cap, you get 2,100 of life. So if you really wanna have a lot of life, you can get bigger. Now when you're fighting, this is good because that way you won't get one shot as easy. It's gonna be a lot harder, and you can pick up and keep fighting. a lot of people eventually they have a lot of life. Normally I went with 30 in the beginning, and I said that's pretty good, it's not that bad, which is 994. I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's really good, because when you're starting leveling up, you gotta kill monsters, it's gonna take a bit. You don't want to use all your bigger on bigger and be like, you can't use other weapons, you're gonna be stuck with a pathetic weapon or a crappy weapon that you don't really like. So you gotta learn how to distribute your points really good. So now if we go to mind, if you're gonna be a magician, if you're gonna be an incantation person, so normally 9 is 75. If you upgrade it all the way to 99, you're gonna end up with 450 FP. Now the thing about mind is it gives you FP, which is important, obviously. It also gives you focus, which focus is the resistance of sleep and madness. So if you are getting tired of people hitting you with madness, which is the jello thing, the jello power, and you're like you're getting mad, you're like, oh man, I hate this. Well, you can just get that, and it's gonna help you resist it more. But the whole point of mine is you're not gonna go crazy with it. As you can see, I only got to 35 because 200 is fine. It's plenty. There's people that do mage builds, they might want more. But for my fighting style, I try to go all around, and it's fine with me. It's not that bad. But you gotta keep in mind, sometimes a lot of people like to use a special mixture in a physique that gives you like 10 seconds, I believe, or 15 seconds, I can't remember correctly, but it gives you like unlimited FP, so it's not as important. I'm totally talking about PvP. Obviously it's really good against bosses and all that, but yeah, if you want to get a lot of FP, you go super crazy with magic and incantation, then go ahead, go crazy. Endurance. So endurance, for me, I like stamina a lot, because I like to get people when I'm fighting. So what I do is, a lot of people think people have like 4 attacks maximum, 3 attacks depending on the weapon. So if I have a sword, it's like 4 attacks. If I have a great sword, they'll be like, oh, you're gonna attack 2 times and then you're out of stamina. And then sometimes like 3 attacks, like, whoa, that's a lot of stamina this guy has. So what I like to do, I like to put a lot of stamina. That way I can fake people, make them think that I have no stamina, that I used it, that I was going crazy and attacking. And then once they get close, you hit them, and they're like, whoa, I thought this guy had no stamina. I get a lot of people like that. That's why I like stamina. It also helps with dodging, so you can do attacks, you can go crazy and all that. And then, like I said, a lot of people think, oh, this guy used all his stamina, so I'm gonna hit him now. Well, guess what? Now I dodge, and people get amazed, and they're like, whoa, okay, what the heck? So it's a really good way to stay alive and do a lot of damage, consecutive attacks. So you don't have to wait for your stamina to come back as frequent. And also, it gives you equipment load. So the important thing about equipment load is you don't need to go crazy. I went crazy because I wanted heavy armor, the heaviest armor, and I wanted 2 colossal weapons, which is I dual wield them. And then I like to have extra weapons for different tactics, and I'll show you that in another video. I'll talk about it. But basically with the endurance, it's really nice to have, and it also gives you robustness. Robustness, if we go over here, is blood loss and frostbite. Oh, you guys know where I'm going with this. You love those people with river of blood? Yeah, I know you do. You've seen them everywhere, huh? Frostbite was a big thing in the beginning. You used to see everybody do frostbite as well. But now we got blood loss, and yeah, it gets annoying when you're trying to survive. So this helps a bit. Let me tell you something now, so you guys don't go crazy. But like, yeah, I try to upgrade robustness and it didn't help me that much, blah, blah, blah. It's not gonna negate a lot. Let me say that again. It's not going to negate a lot. You're gonna get blood loss and frostbite. If you keep getting hit, it's not gonna be like super resistance and all that. You just have a higher resistance, which is nice for instead of getting hit 2 hits, if you need to get hit like 3 times, and then if you upgrade it more, it's like 4 times, etc., which is really nice. If you upgrade all endurance all the way, you get for maximum equipment load 160 and stamina 170. Hopefully, I do have some rings on, so I hope they're not counting it, but let's believe that for now. So when you get a weapon that you really like, it helps a lot to know how much heavy it is, because obviously the bigger the weapon, the heavier it's gonna be. There's some weapons that are lighter. You might be a katana user, you don't need as much, but sometimes you want to use a great sword. Well, it depends. So just play around with that. Just look how much your equipment load is. If you want to have like heavy armor or just armor in general, just look around. There's rings, like I said, that give you equipment load. Not that much. It's not like other games, but it's very nice. And I'll show you the rings after I finish this. You can have an idea how much you get. But remember, that's in 74 endurance, so if you have lower endurance, it's going to be a little bit less, so keep that in mind. Now we go to strength. Strength, well, it's the heavier the weapon, some weapons require some stats, so strength is one of them. So if the weapon is a bit heavy, it's like a greatsword, usually it's like 18, 22. If it's a better greatsword, it's like 25, 30, etc. And then when you get colossal weapons, it's like 40, 50, 60. You get the idea. But other weapons might not necessarily need strength as much. So like twin blade doesn't need that much strength. Katanas don't need that much strength. Spears, etc., depending on the weapon. But if you need to look at the weapon that you like. If you see a weapon that you like and you're like, oh man, I really want to have that weapon, just look at the stats that are required and go there. You don't need to go crazy. The higher the strength, the more damage you do on some weapons. So the base damage in the weapon increases, and also the attributes, if it's like E, it's not gonna give you that much bonus in strength, but if it's like A, it's gonna give you a big bonus. It could go up to like 200, 300, depending on how much strength you have. It's very nice. So you can see my weapons on the, and also strength does give you some defense as well, so keep that in mind. So as you can see on the right side where it says defense power, if it's all the way to 16, I got 86. If I upgraded more, it does give you defense. So the more strength you got, the more resistance you are. So it's very nice. So keep that in mind, guys. Now we go to dexterity. Some weapons, they have special abilities and they're nice. You're like, oh man, I like that weapon, it's very cool. Sometimes katana uses a lot of it. Curved swords use it. Depending on the weapon, it's usually the skill that it takes on the weapon. So if you like, let's say, the great sword, usually you don't need that much dexterity depending on the weapon. Usually the dexterity is low. But if you like I said, a katana, twin blade, etc., special types of weapons, they usually require a lot of dexterity, especially katanas. That's what I noticed. So also, you gotta keep in mind, with all these attributes, if you increase strength, dexterity, intelligence, faith, and arcane, and the weapons, when they have the attributes, the more you have of a stat, the more attack you actually get on the weapon. So keep in mind on your special weapon, what's the highest grade in the weapon. That way you know what to upgrade to make that weapon stronger. So keep that in mind. And then dexterity, so you guys know, it also reduces casting time of spells, which if you're a mage, that's really good, guys. And it's not gonna be like a wow, it's gonna be like, if you take 5 seconds, 2 seconds, nah. I'm gonna tell you right now, don't believe that. It's gonna be slightly less, but the thing is, in PvP, as a lot of guys know, when you're fighting, a split second means a lot. You can win a battle in a 0.1 second faster than your opponent, and you can actually win. So it makes a huge difference when you're fighting people over and over. So please keep that in mind. Also, when if you have a lot of dexterity, you can fall from higher places. You know what I mean? You see like a hill, tiny hill, let's say like a 2 feet drop. You fall off, your character dies. You're like, what the heck, man? So that's the reason you don't have enough dexterity. So if you want to avoid that more often, increase dexterity. I know it sucks. The thing is, there's a ring in the game. It's a cat loom. It's a talisman. I call it a ring, but it's like a talisman. And you can actually equip that, and it negates all damage, falling damage. It negates all the damage you take from it. So if you really want to avoid that, you really hate taking damage when you're falling down, just put that ring. It's going to help you out a lot. And then those people that like the horse, dexterity also makes it so you don't fall as much. So it's very nice. And yeah, I'm just looking at the strength, so you guys can see there's like the real heavy armaments and was attack and strength scaling, and which is what I basically said already. So intelligence. All those sorcerers out there, the ones that like magic. So this is their cup of tea. I'll put it out here so you see. So a lot of people love intelligence when they use spells, because the higher the spell, the more damage you do. It's like, oh man, it's amazing. There's people one-shotting bosses with spells. If you want to cheat the game, like super easy, it's nice. But for PvP, it's kind of different. Remember, if you're fighting somebody that's good, they're gonna dodge a lot. So you want to make it count. So if you hit somebody, you want them to hurt a lot. So intelligence, if you're gonna be a sorcerer, is very important. You wanna increase this. By the way, dexterity all the way. It does give you some resistance for your armor. They don't really tell you this type of stuff because it's kind of hidden. As you can see, it went to 130 and 147 in holy and all that. So keep that in mind. And in some weapons, it does increase the attack because of the scaling. So keep that in mind. It also increases the immunity, robustness, focus, and vitality. So keep that in mind. Intelligence, it does give you some defense as well, and a little bit of immunity, robustness, focus, and vitality as well. But what we care more about is when you're gonna see your talisman or your staff, you're gonna see the spell scaling or the talisman scaling. I forget the name. But that increases. So the higher you have the intelligence, the higher that is. So the higher the damage you do. So please keep that in mind. So now we go to faith. People that love incantations. Me personally, I like pyromancy, so this one's really good for me. So the thing about this is, like I said, every stat gives you a little bit of defense and a little bit of the body, but it also increases the damage that you do on your armaments and all that. So I want you guys to notice something really fast. So you can see the left armament 1, where its attack power is 58. When I go to 40, it goes to 208. That means if a weapon, I don't have enough scaling, like all the requirements are not there, the weapon decreases its damage. A lot of people think they're like, oh man, this sucks, and they learned that the hard way. But please keep that in mind. It's very important. But going back to sorcery, to incantations, I mean. So faith gives you a lot of damage with your incantations, which is really good. So it's basically like intelligence, but for incantations. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If you're gonna be a pyromancer or you're gonna be a healer, you're gonna have buffs, etc., etc., you want to increase faith, because it's gonna be very important. And then faith weapons are gonna be important as well. So now we go to Arcane. Arcane, a lot of people think that, oh yeah, it's just the discovery of the item, blah blah blah. What this actually does, it gives you a little bit of defense and body, but it also is good to increase the arcane if you use the dragons, all the dragon powers. It actually increases the damage of all the dragons that you use. A lot of people don't know this, but that's actually very important. So keep in mind that that is actually very nice. I'm gonna put on my stats the same again. This is so going to the whole topic now that I explained what every attribute does. So what I always like to do is increase bigger to 20. That's the first thing I do. If I can get it to 30, awesome. I find the weapon I like. A lot of weapons require strength, so at least get strength to 20. And then get at least 14 dexterity, because a lot of weapons, it's very close to there. And then all the other stuff, if you want to add mine, if you're going to start doing magic and all that, or if later on in the game you're going to start doing magic, and you can focus on it, but it's not a big priority if you're not doing magic at the beginning. But one thing for sure you want to have in mind, you do want a little bit of endurance, that way you can roll and attack. So you can go like 15, it's fine for beginning. And those are like the main ones that I focus on the beginning always. Every time I start a Dark Souls game, I always want those. So you do your build. Some people are different. Some people might agree, some disagree. But this is how I do it. This is my opinion on it. Yeah, I'm level 306 because I fight a lot of my friends in real life. So they always kept going up and they wanted to challenge me. But the level that you want to be at is at least like level 120 to 150. That's where you're going to meet a lot of the people. If you go higher in the levels, doesn't mean you're not going to see people. You're still going to see people, but it's not going to be as much. So please keep that in mind. If you want to PvP a lot, then try to maintain your level low. That's why it's very important to know what do you want. What is exactly that is going to help you. So like I was telling you guys, this is the equipment load. This is one of them. And then this is the other one. It also increases the equipment load. So we can see my equipment load right now is 170. So if I take this one off from 170.3 to 143.1. Okay? So if I go to this one from 170.3 to 159.9. So this one gives you more equipment load because it focuses on that. This one is gonna be a little bit less, but it gives you maximum health and stamina. How much health and stamina? So if we look at the health and stamina from 2,458 and the stamina 175 goes to 162 and then 2,375 of health. So you can see the difference there. Hopefully you guys can see it. Reason I have a lot of life right now, I told you the maximum of HP was 458, but I am using a great rune, and the great rune I'm using is the Morgat. So that's why that one is, you guys are like, oh man, how did you get it? So I'm using this one, so it's like really nice for me, and I like using this for PvP. But when you invade, that doesn't matter, it's not there, so keep that in mind. And I like to invade, so it's nice if somebody comes to my world, they're basically screwed with all that life, you know, and it's awesome. But guys, yeah, this is a little basic on the game for how the stats work, keep stuff in mind, and I'll tell you more with other videos. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.